Alright everyone, welcome back, and we're going to talk about another Monday night poker session. Blinds starting out 10 and 20. Alright, so the first one we're going to look at is the King 5 of diamonds. We limp in for 10. Brent on my direct left decides to raise to 35. We get 2 callers. And I decide to call as well, so we've got a 4-way action to the flop. Flop comes 5 jack 7, 2 spades. I check. No one seems pretty interested in this flop, even though that there is a jack high and a couple spades out there. We get to see a free turn card. We get to see the flush draw come in with the 10 of diamonds to go along with our bottom pair. We get a check, a bet of 50. I call. We get another call, and we got 3-way to the river. The river actually ends up giving us 2 pair with the king of clubs. Now, the only thing we have to be able to avoid here is being outkicked by another king 10, king jack, a jack 10. So leading out here is Dave for 150. We get a call. We decide to raise a 300 more. Dave calls pretty fast on this one, then we get a fold. Dave reveals a set of 5s. So even though that the river did help us, it still did trap us as well. Moving on to the next hand, we get to look down at ace 3 offsuit. So early position decides to raise to 150. We've got a pretty defendable hand in our position, so we call. Heads up, and we get to see a flop. That flop comes jack king 5 rainbow. Early position leads for 25. Yeah, I don't believe this stab really at all. So we decide to raise to 400. He folds. We end up showing him just to make sure that we mean business, and scoop. He ends up showing the 10 queen offsuit, and to my surprise, he actually folded his up and down draw, which probably worked out for us in the end since we still had 2 cards to come. In this hand, we end up having a pretty cheeky 8-5 offsuit. I limp in for 25 more as the small blind because why not? It's a discount price. The flop definitely could have been better, but it's actually not bad considering. We've got king 7-5 all spades. It checks around, and then we get to see a turn card, which is actually pretty good considering we got now 2 pair with an 8 on the turn. Now, this is the point where we really want to charge those other spades that are out there. So we bet 250. We get folds, but then of course, Killer Miller decides to call. The river is the queen of hearts, which considering the board doesn't seem too terrifying unless he's now sitting with a king queen. But we check it down the river and we get to take it with our 2 pair. So it's great that we got to charge a little extra, and the run out came perfect. Killer Miller reveals his hand, and it turns out we were right on the money with that one. He did miss his flush. On this next hand, we're sitting at 9 jack offsuit. Killer Miller limps in for 100. I decide to call in small blind. Big blind checks. We got 3-way action. We see a flop come 2-9 queen rainbow. We're sitting here with the middle pair so far. Killer Miller bets 200, I call, and then the big blind folds. So now we're sitting at a heads up. The turn comes the deuce of hearts, giving us 2 pair now. We check, and then we get to see the river. The jack of clubs comes on the river, giving us a sneaky 2 pair. So now the only thing we have to worry about is if he's got a queen or a higher pocket pair, but it doesn't seem like, given the action pre-flop, we shouldn't really expect that. I bet 350. And Killer Miller decides to quickly call. It shows that he has pocket kings for a better 2 pair. Okay, guess I was wrong on that one. He decided to limp in with pocket kings, so that's what really threw us off about the whole not really getting beat out by a bigger 2 pair. Killer Miller is definitely living up to his name though and killing my stack. On this next hand we got pocket 2s, and we get to raise to 400, trying to protect that small pocket pair. Brent calls. Both the blinds fold, and we've got a heads up action. The flop comes jack jack 7. Honestly, it's pretty safe considering the 2s. As long as he didn't hit us jack or 7, we're pretty good, and as long as he doesn't have an overpair. My hope is that Brent is sitting on 2 face cards that completely whiffed this flop. We down bet to 350, and it ends up getting Brent to fold, which reveals that he did indeed have 2 face cards that missed with his king-queen. On this hand, we're in the small blind with 10 king offsuit. We got 2 limps, and I decide to call. Big blind checks, then we get to see a flop, which comes queen 7-10 rainbow. Sitting at with second pair, second kicker is not necessarily the worst thing in the world, so we can make this work. It checks around. We're going to play this one safe though even. And the turn is a second queen. Okay, this is where I'm starting to feel pretty safe. No one protected their queen by betting on the flop, so chances are we're pretty good when we see the second queen. We bet 300 and end up getting 3 folds, so it worked out in our favor. This is the part where we condense down to 9 left, people. So now we get a table change, and we're down to the main table. We get quite a few all-ins, and seen some wild hands along the way that knocks out several people quickly. We even end up getting a hand here at Jack Ace offsuit, and we decide to take it for a ride and go all in. What's crazy, even after making this move, we end up having not 1, but 2 people calling our all in. We at least have 1 player out kicked, which is already a good start before we see the flop. Then the flop comes.
Even 1-9 will do it.
Ace. Oh my goodness, that's
fucking flop.
wow.
That's about the best damn flop we could see for our hand. And we end up knocking out a player while absorbing a huge amount of chips. At this point, we have 3 players left, and our chip stack is kind of bled out because of the ever so increasing blinds. We've got a Jack 8, and we kind of have to make a move here. We get called by a better hand.
Like a junkie in search of a higher high, Tallahassee is no longer happy with 70 killing a week. Which, if you're keeping score, just like
I got nothing.
Unfortunately, we get knocked out in 3rd place by Brent. We ended up getting $42 in 3rd place. So after the initial buy-in, that gives us a $12 profit. And we even got to climb the leaderboard with the 3rd place points. So that's what we've got for this week so far in poker. It's only our 3rd game, and I think we're doing overall pretty well on the leaderboard. We've got a little bit of work to do, but as you can see for this half, we've got 21 games. So I think we can definitely kick it up a notch in these next few weeks and start crushing the leaderboard. So stay tuned for the next Monday Night Poker. Until then, enjoy your stay.